Hello and welcome to a mini version of Sunny with a Chance of Chaos. I just want you to sit back, grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and enjoy a little tiny bit of life's chaos. Hey there, welcome to Sunny with a Chance of Chaos. This is the mini Sode edition. I don't know if that was a word before, but it is now. It's a mini episode, so it's a mini Sode. Anyway, I felt inspired today, literally this morning I wrote all of this. So I'm just popping in with a little mini episode about Pride Month because it's June. And I want to talk about why it's important to me, and I want to talk about why it's important to the rest of the queer community. So yeah, it's June. Here we go. The rainbow flags are out. We fly our flags. We wear our Love is Love t-shirts. Big companies plaster their social media feeds in rainbow colors from June 1st to the 30th. But what does it really mean? Why do we need a whole month to celebrate Pride? And how can we ensure that pride and support extends beyond June 30th? Let's start at the start. How did Pride Month even come to be? Pride Month, which, as many of you know, is celebrated in North America each year in the month of June. It actually commemorates the Stonewall Uprising, which was a series of protests that began on June 28th, 1969 in New York City after a police raid on the Stonewall Inn, which at the time was a gay bar. The events of June 1969 sparked a turning point for the LGBT rights movement, and the first Pride March was held on the one-year anniversary of the riots in 1970. While Pride Month has been observed by the community specifically for decades, for example, those first marches in Canada were held in 1971, Pride Month was officially recognized by the U.S. federal government in 1999 and in Canada as well. Just like any other celebration of any other group, which often commemorate a rising or a crucial time for that collective, Pride Month is a reminder of where we've been and how far we've come. And for what it's worth, you can still visit the Stonewall Inn. It is up and running at 53 Christopher Street in New York City. So there you go. Pride Month has some beautiful and painful historical roots, as I've outlined, and it has certainly evolved over the years into parades and drag shows and festivals and gatherings and marches, etc., etc. But for me, in my experience, Pride is simply a collective energy. It's not just a month of rainbows and festivals and story hours. It's a feeling. It's knowing that we're celebrating some of our most diverse and beautiful humans and recognizing as a collective that they are an integral part of our team of humans. We need to be reminded that all humans and all forms of love need to be celebrated in whatever form they feel is salient to them. And this goes for Black History Month and Every Child Matters and Orange Shirt Day in September, etc. So for the Pride Collective, the celebration and representation ranges widely from celebratory and joyful to educational and political. I have found myself drawn to Pride and Pride events since I was a teenager. I have participated and attended through the years as a strong and willing ally with a deeply rooted understanding that love really is just love. And how can we possibly dictate who a person loves based on their gender? It literally made no sense to me from the time I was very small. And then a couple years ago, I began to uncover my own sexual identity a little further, and now I view Pride through different eyes. Pride is now an opportunity to celebrate love and self-love, my relationships, my friendships, my own queer identity. I don't need a pride flag in my window to feel like a part of the community. I don't need it as a symbol of my own sexuality. That's not actually the point. The point is that flag gives me comfort in an external way that's outside of myself. It's comforting to know that perhaps there's someone walking by my house and seeing that symbol or that flag or seeing the pin on my jean jacket that says, "You are safe with me," and understanding that I am a safe place. My home is a safe place should they ever require one. And perhaps that explanation is helpful for those folks who don't understand why the world is splashed in rainbows these days. It's not just about representation. It's about safety. It's not about shoving gay pride down throats. It's about remembering those who fought hard for 2S LGBTQIA+ rights and those who continue to do so today. We're still reading about the terrorizing and murder of those who identify as something other than cisgender or heterosexual. In 2025, these things are still happening. Literally in the news a couple days ago, I was reading about Jonathan Joss. He's an actor and a voice actor. He was in King of the Hill. He was on Parks and Rec. He was murdered by a neighbor who had been repeatedly harassing Jonathan and his husband. It was deemed a hate crime, and this happened on June 1st, 2025, just days ago. Sure, yes, we've come a long way in protecting, accepting, and loving folks of all genders, sexualities, and identities, but we clearly still have some work to do. What I know is that people tend to be scared of what they don't understand. Folks get scared of what is unfamiliar or of something that's different than themselves or an idea that's outside their normal way of thinking. And to be fair, this is something that is rooted in us evolutionarily. This is what I learned when I did a little digging into why we're so afraid of things and people who are other than us. The evolution of our fear of differences, often manifesting as stranger danger or prejudice, is rooted in ancestral survival strategies. In early human history, survival depended on group cohesion and vigilance against threats from other groups. Strangers were often perceived as potential enemies, leading to a natural tendency to distrust or fear them. In other words, we got scared of things and people who were different because they might have been a threat to our survival. I get how our brains develop like that. I get it. But we don't have to do this anymore. The way our brains developed back in the early days of human evolution is no longer relevant. We have outgrown the need for this vigilance in this way, just like we've outgrown our direct need for an appendix in our lower abdomen. And the fear of the other certainly does not feel relevant to the 2S LGBTQIA+ demographic. To me personally, anyway, I don't understand how me loving a woman versus a man poses a threat to someone I interact with at the grocery store or someone I work with. I also recognize that for some folks, it's just uncomfortable. And again, I think that's rooted in something that's different and unknown to them. This is another reason why Pride Month is so important. If we have enough exposure to something or someone different than us, then that thing becomes less scary. I want you to think about the first time you drove a car. It was terrifying. But the more times you drove, the more exposure you had to driving in different weather and on different roads, the less afraid you became. The same concept can be applied to biases. The more times we have conversations with people who are different from us, the more exposure we have to the things that scare us or make us nervous, the less afraid we need to be. I find myself afraid or judgmental too sometimes. I do. I have my own biases and my own fears that I have to ensure I'm looking at and working on and keeping in check every day. And the more I learn about various habits and practices and lifestyles and religions and cultures that are new or different to the way I go about my life, the more I love and embrace those differences because they're not so scary anymore, right? I don't usually get too political on this podcast, and I'm not about to start now. But I do think it's important for us to recognize in this year, 2025, Pride might be more important than ever. There are places and spaces in the world, not so very far from Canada, where the rights of trans and gay folks are being threatened. Their very existence is at risk. And if there was ever a time to show your colors, June 2025 is it. So beyond the 30th of this month, I challenge you to do a little bit more than just wear a Love is Love shirt. I challenge you to learn a little more about the history of the Stonewall Inn, maybe read some literature by a gay author or watch a documentary on trans folks. Learn a little more, support a little more, and the rainbow flag that you fly next June will mean a whole lot more to you and a whole lot more to the community. Okay, the stacks this week's pretty simple. PrideLondon.ca and PrideToronto.ca has massive lists of events that are happening this month right here in London, Ontario, and also in the GTA. And for the gratitude section, also pretty simple. I just want to thank all the folks who have supported me in my personal journey, as well as all those who came before who fought so hard for gay, queer, trans, etc. voices to be heard. Happy Pride, everyone. just never stop getting curious. And this month, don't forget to turn your face towards the rainbow. See you next time. Bye.